Welcome to Grow Rich Radio Channel. If you're on the path to self-improvement and aspiring to be the best version of yourself, this video is a must-see. In this video, we'll delve into 10 pivotal lessons from the transformative wisdom found in Atomic Habits. The book offers a remarkably effective hands-on framework guiding you through the process of adopting positive habits and shedding detrimental ones, drawing on the most potent techniques from behavioral science. The book is rich with real-world examples that illustrate the principles at work. Lesson 1. The power of compounding. Tiny changes in our habits can change the trajectory of our lives in ways that we can't even notice until many years into the future. Looking back in both good ways and bad, you are your habits. Far too often, we convince ourselves of one-night miracles or that massive success is only possible through massive actions. However, it is the tiny improvements that aren't even noticeable at first that create incredible change. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement, the same way that money multiplies through compound interest. The effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. They seem to make little difference on any given day, and yet the impact they deliver over the months and years can be enormous. Lesson 2. Goals versus system. The way we in general look at goals is slightly flawed. We want to achieve something and hence go ahead and set a goal for ourselves, but we don't think beyond. We are so tunnel visioned at the goal, we forget how to set up steps to achieve it. And sometimes when we do reach our goals, we don't know what to do next. Another fundamental argument why goals are not enough is pretty simple. Both successful and unsuccessful people have the same goals, but only a select few achieve them. So then the question is, what's the difference between them, and how important is setting up the right goals? Lesson 3. Change your identity. The 3 layers of behavior. Change 1. Outcomes. Changing your results, e.g. losing weight. 1. Most of the goals you set are at this level. Process. Changing your habits and systems, e.g. developing a meditation practice. 2. Most of the habits you build live at this level. 3. Identity. Changing your beliefs, e.g. your worldview or self-image. 3. Most of the beliefs, assumptions, and biases you hold are associated with this level. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. True behavior change is identity change. The ultimate aim for any habit is to change your identity into something you want to become. So instead of an outcome-driven habit or action, you need to shift towards an identity-driven habit system. Lesson 4. The habit loop. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. Their ultimate purpose is to solve problems on an autopilot mode with as little energy and thought as possible. Any habit is essentially a feedback loop of 4 phases. 1. Cue, the starting point. It, or simp, simply what triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. 1. The bit of information that predicts a reward. 2. Craving, the motivational force behind every habit. 2. You don't crave the habit itself, but the change in state it leads to, or the pleasure associated with it, e.g. 2. You do not crave smoking a cigarette. You crave, the feeling of relief it provides. 3. Response, the actual habit action you perform as a thought or action. 3. Whether a response occurs depends on how motivated you are and the amount of friction associated with the behavior. 3. If the motivation is greater than the friction you need to overcome. Lesson 5. Make it obvious. The implementation intention is a plan that you make beforehand about when and where to act. This basically acts as a blueprint of how you want to execute a habit or new behavior. The most common cues for any action are basically the time and location, and these are exactly what to target while creating the implementation intention. Often, it is the lack of clarity that gets confused with the lack of motivation, holding us back from our new habits. Once we have a precise plan of how we are going to execute a certain action, we don't have to wait around for inspiration or motivation to strike. Lesson 6. Habit stacking. No behavior happens in isolation. You often decide what you are going to do next based on what you just finished. Each action becomes a cue that triggers the next action. So why not apply the same while forming new habits? We can look at habits that we usually do, and simply stack the cue to start our new habit on top of it. This is referred to as habit stacking. The idea is to utilize the momentum from the previous action into launching new behaviors. You can potentially have endless stacking. The habit stacking formula becomes based on what new habit you are looking to form. Study your daily habits and pick appropriate cues to trigger the new behavior based on the frequency and the time of day you want to form the new habit. A simple habit stack example mentioned in the book. 1. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 60 seconds. After I meditate for 60 seconds, I will write my to-do list for the day. 3. After I write my to-do list for the day, I will immediately begin my first task. Lesson 7. Temptation. Bundling. The brain's desires and cravings are slaves to neurotransmitter. It's called dopamine. Habits are just dopamine-driven feedback loops. The more dopamine we get from a certain action, the higher the chance of it becoming a habit. Upon study of the human brain and its relationship with dopamine, it was found that dopamine is not only released when we get pleasure, but also when we anticipate it. The dopamine spikes at the point when a gambler places the bet, and not when they win the reward. In other words, it is the anticipation of the reward that motivates us to take any action, and not the reward itself. This is key information while trying to form habits. Temptation bundling, also known as Premax principle, states that more probable behaviors will enforce less probable behaviors. In simple words, it is easier to enforce something you need to do once you pair it with something you want to do. Lesson 8. The law of least effort. Human behavior always follows the law of least effort, which states that when deciding between similar options, people will naturally gravitate towards the option that requires the least amount of work. In order to form new habits, we need to reduce the friction associated with good behavior, and likewise increase friction for bad habits. The best way to push yourself towards successful habit formation is to prime the environment for future use. This essentially means already preparing your environment for your future actions. For example, want to exercise? Set out your workout clothes, shoes, gym bag, and water bottle ahead of time. Want to improve your diet? Chop up a ton of fruits and vegetables and pack them in containers so you have easy access to healthy snacks. Lesson 9, the 2 minutes rule habit. Shaping the starting part of any new habit should take only 2 minutes. If a new habit feels like a challenge, it will add more friction in being consistent. The action that follows these first 2 minutes can be as challenging as you want, but the first 2 minutes are important to get going. As you grow, the first 2 minutes become a ritual at the beginning of a larger routine. Improving a habit can only happen once it is established. So instead of planning out the habit in the most advanced and optimized steps, plan it in a way that is easier to establish, and then focus on improving. Perfection will then follow. Lesson 10, the Goldilocks rule. It is important for us to not get carried away when setting goals and targets. Human motivation peaks right at the edge of comfort, just slightly challenging from their present abilities, neither too hard nor too easy. Therefore, it is important that whenever you are starting a new habit, the set expectations are not too insane. The mantra here is to start small, be consistent, and keep moving. Build up slowly, so that these new challenges keep you engaged and motivated. If you found these insights valuable, let us know in the comments below. Share your thoughts, experiences, or any other books you'd like us to explore. Hit the like button if these lessons resonated with you, and make sure to subscribe for more enriching content. Your support keeps the inspiration flowing.